afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is in your region of the world, wherever you're tuning in from. We appreciate you being here with us tonight. This is the pre-All-Star break, regular season edition, however you want to label this thing. We're here to talk about NBA basketball. Backyard Buckets presented by Backyard Sports. I have Gary reaching in from under the ground, from the grave, whatever you just put the Undertaker logo over his face right now. This is his flu game. He's playing sick, so we appreciate you being here, Gary. And I have Ryan with me as well, our resident Rockets fan, who may or may not talk about that later in the show. We'll see his feelings on those things. The good news for him, though, is that the Houston Cougars will also not be getting a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, but I guess that's not really good news for him. I don't know.
As long as Duke doesn't have to play Clemson anymore. If that happens, they might be getting a 1 seed.
It's true, but I just want to, before we go into this, and I promise I won't take too much of your time, the Super Bowl happened over the weekend, right? As Gary and the boys so eloquently spoke about last night, Phil Jolin and what happened. I just want to say there was just an awful sports weekend for me, right? For those who are new here, I'm obviously a Duke basketball fan, and I had to watch Clemson. I'm a South Carolina football fan, so I hate Clemson. I have like tiers of hatred. They're on the same tier at the top with University of North Carolina. I had to watch Clemson basketball snap a 16-game win streak for Duke this weekend. And then the following day, turn around and watch the team that I was rooting for in the Kansas City Chiefs lose to a team that I hate so much, the Philadelphia Eagles, to snap their 2-game winning streak in the Super Bowl. Like, it was just an all-around bad sports weekend for me. I did not enjoy any of it, truthfully. I thought Duke was going to be number one in the standings after Auburn lost. It was going to be a whole thing. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm sorry.
Tough weekend.
Yeah, not great. Well,
I had a great
guys off. All right. Nobody asked you, Brian. Nobody asked you. We're here to talk about the NBA. Stop trying to derail the show.
Sorry.
Last we left off, we were all giving our thoughts on the most recent trades, to include obviously the Lakers' big trade for Luka Doncic. They made another trade that day, seemingly so, right, for Mark Williams coming over from Charlotte, sending Dalton Connect in return across the country. The flights were made, right? The flights took off and the flights landed in the correct cities. There were no problems in the air. The aviation crews were top-notch. However, there was a hiccup once the planes landed. Mark Williams failed his physical, which for those who followed the league very closely, is not the most shocking thing, right? He's only played in 83 games his whole career, so he's kind of an injury risk. But that sweet Southern California air kind of thought maybe, it worked for Luka, healed him up right away. Maybe it'll work for Mark Williams. Did not turn out to be the case. He failed, and it was not for his back, I don't believe. I have not seen the actual designation of why he failed. So the team sent the players back. Back on the airplane goes Mark Williams all the way over to Charlotte, and back goes Dalton Connect from Charlotte back to LA. And the deal is reversed. And now Alex Len is Los Angeles Laker. And I'm not sure about you guys, and I'll ask your opinion. Given the fall through of this deal with Mark Williams not being on the Lakers and Dalton Connect not being on the Charlotte Hornets, kind of a two-pronged question, right? The first one will require a little more thought, and the second one is just for fun. Ryan, do you feel like which team feels worse after this trade did not go through? Is it Charlotte for keeping Mark Williams, or is it LA for not getting Mark Williams? And then how do you feel about Jackson Hayes and Alex Len having to guard Jokic in a 7-game series in the playoffs?
Oh, well, first, that sounds like a leading question, and I will not have you lead me towards a direction. I think Alex Len is going to shut him down. I like Alex Len, actually, but you set me up to say I don't like Alex Len in that situation.
No, I just asked how you feel about him guarding Jokic in a playoff series.
Yeah, the vibes are bad. Yeah, who got the worst end of the nullification? That's a good question. The trade didn't feel like a lot for either team, right? I don't really know why Charlotte wanted to get rid of Mark Williams unless they were concerned about the injury. I guess the value was pretty good, right? They got 2 firsts in that, and Dalton Connect, right? A guy who's like a 32-year-old rookie, so a couple more years of him. But the value is good, but I don't think they lose too much by getting him back. As long as he's healthy, I like him. He makes sense with LaMelo Ball. They already traded Nick Richards. How many centers can you give away, right? Like, I think Mark Williams has the potential to be a top half of the league center if he stays healthy. So I think keeping him is pretty good. Alvin Connect does not have the potential to be a top half of the league, 2, 3, whatever you want to call him, right? Would he be a good fit in Charlotte with LaMelo? Yeah, of course. A guy who can shoot the ball will be a good fit with a supernatural passer. But yeah, I mean, so is Mark Williams. Mark Williams makes sense with LaMelo. So I think it's probably a wash for Charlotte, right? Got good value. Doesn't hurt them that bad to get it back. It hurts the Lakers a lot more. I think they have so few limited assets. They had to compile a list of available people, and that list was like 2 people. It's like Connect and Hachimura were pretty much it that could get them someone of value. They had to give away 2 first-round picks to get anything, which kind of showed the desperation that they thought of that need, right? Because I think that was an overpay, and I think most people would probably agree it was. It was a first and a swap plus Dalton Connect, right? So I think that hurts them a lot more. Luka really likes having that type of player with them. And Mark Williams, again, had potential to be, I think, a top half of the league center, 15-ish area of the world, right? So I think that hurts them for the post-LeBron years as well from a long-term perspective, because Dalton Connect's probably got 2 or 3 good years left in him. So just at his age, he's what, 24 already?
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically career's over at this point. Yeah, I just think Mark Williams makes a lot of sense there. I get why they overpaid, so I do think it hurts them a lot more. But I think Dalton Connect will make sense with Luka too, right? Like, same reason for LaMelo. So does it hurt them? Is Jackson Hayes going to do much? Probably not. I like Alex Len a lot more than I like Jackson Hayes as just a rotational big. I think he does a lot. He's a very underrated rotational big. Protects the rim relatively well with his length. Moves the ball, can score if necessary. Doesn't do anything well, but doesn't do anything terribly. But I don't think he's the above the rim guy that they wanted. Jackson Hayes is that. If you could put Jackson Hayes and Alex Len together, they'd be pretty good.
I'd be like a Mark Williams type if you could do
that. Hayes is more athletic than Williams vertically. Yeah. Williams is better laterally for sure. But yeah, it's kind of a wash, right? It just hurts the Lakers a little bit more, in my opinion. So I didn't really love the trade to begin with. I think I said it was an overpay. So honestly, it may help the Lakers out when LeBron inevitably retires in the next year or 2 to have those picks instead.
Yeah, although Luka being on your team in 2031 feels like your pick is not going to be in the lottery.
Yeah, well, I'm saying for asset movement, right? Like, they're going to trade those picks. There's almost no way to keep those picks. But they probably in a less dire situation, because I think they felt they were in a dire situation with LeBron at the end of the line, and bringing in Luka. It's like, we got to strike while the iron's hot. Well, you can build around Luka again and use that maybe for a more equal trade, probably. You could probably get him, if Dallas probably has someone available for, cheap. Since they're in the business of fleecing them. Yeah, I just think in the future they will get more value out of that pick probably than they would get for Mark Williams right now.
It's probably fair. Gary, as best you can muster, is there a team that you felt or a team in your opinion that feels worse coming off this trade being nullified?
I think slightly probably Charlotte. I think they knew about Mark Williams' health issues and probably wanted to kind of get out from under that concern. They are protesting or plan to protest the results of the physical. I know in the past we've had teams try that and it never works. The league is probably going to let's not start this kind of mudslinging thing, and they're going to quash it as civilly as they possibly can. I think from Charlotte's perspective, you probably look at Dalton Connect and his fit with a guy like LaMelo Ball, as Ryan pointed out, and the concerns with Mark Williams only playing 80, I think you said 83 games in his career so far. And you think like, okay, if we bottom out this year, we have a chance at getting Cooper Flagg if they win the lottery. You pair Cooper Flagg with LaMelo and Connect and Brandon Miller, and you look at that and you say that's a lineup we can build around going forward. But I just and then the first round picks, of course, there's draft capital, right? You want that draft capital as a team that is in a perpetual rebuild as Charlotte is. But Ryan's not wrong. Like, I don't know that either team felt like they were giving up a ton, and I don't feel like either team feels like they lost a ton in this trade being nullified, unless you're Charlotte and you look at that, trio on the wing with a guy like Cooper Flagg, and you're kind of like throwing up your prayer, like you're going to win the lottery, right? We don't want that to happen. We want Cooper Flagg in DC, but I think if you're looking at it from Charlotte's perspective, that trio with a Cooper Flagg, suddenly you look at it and you're like, wow, we're young. We've got a lot of athleticism. We've got a shooter in Dalton Connect to pair with LaMelo Ball. That might have been best case, like obviously best case if you win the lottery, but like that lineup, I think would have been maybe a little better fit than pairing a Mark Williams with a Cooper Flagg, assuming they win the lottery, right? But I just look at it like it's slightly Charlotte. If I'm the GM of both teams, I'm probably a little more upset if I'm Charlotte. And I understand them wanting to protest it, right? They got some draft capital and they were going to be able to bottom out. So,
yeah, I think I agree with you, Gary. If I'm just looking objectively at both the teams, I think Charlotte feels as though they lost out on the better end of the deal simply because Mark Williams was in-house. They know the injury history. They have the medical records. Like they know what they're dealing with there. And I think the three of us, from a basketball perspective, think pretty highly of the ceiling that Mark Williams has, right? It's not often you see teams willing to get off of a player of that ilk, right? For, like Ryan mentioned, a 24-year-old rookie, as well as obviously the draft capital coming back, which I think they probably valued more than Dalton Connect in the deal. The Connect piece kind of felt like, to your point, Gary, they're bottoming out, and it was like a money match thing to get the picks. So yeah, I think Charlotte probably feels worse than do the Lakers. It's hard to feel better than the Lakers. Honestly, you're the most popular franchise with 4 of the most popular basketball players in the entire world on your team. LeBron, obviously the most, and then like the 3 foreign guys behind him to include Luka. I think they look at this deal as like, man, this really sucks because that's a guy that we wanted and we thought that we could build a future rotation around him and Luka going forward. But hey, we're still the Lakers and we have our draft capital. We're going to make something happen. To Ryan's point, in a less dire situation, right?
When is Charlotte going to do something, though? They have to do something at some point. You can't just we're going to just punt down the road. LaMelo's not getting any younger. I'm not saying he's old, but he's not getting any younger, right? Mark Williams matches the timeline. Unless, like Gary said, they knew he had an injury problem, and it was like, we think he'll pass a physical, but his career will be shortened, right? Like, Cam Whitmore had that, right? Coming into the draft, they were like, he's fine until it breaks.
For now. Yeah.
Like he's a freak athlete, and then he's not, right? Like, if that's the case, then yeah, I agree with you. But if they thought, well, he'll be all right, and we can get the value here, why not keep him? Like, I don't know. I like Mark Williams a lot more than Dalton Connect as an asset. Obviously, the Lakers paid extra for him as an asset. They agree, right? They think he's worth more than Connect straight up. But when is Charlotte going to do something? Like, they have a foundation, put guys around that match that timeline, let them grow together. Like, Mark's played 40 games with them, 60 games with them. Like, he hasn't played much. Like, yeah. Let him play with Miller. Let him play with these guys that are the core group. I don't know. At some point, you either have to punt it completely or make a decision to build together or make a decision to throw it all in to build all at once, right? Like, those are kind of your options there. And I feel like this trade was like them doing none of those things. Yeah. And that just bothers me. I just don't like it from a team building perspective. But just my
is Charlotte like that bad of a destination? Is that the point we're at right now, that like the capital of one of the hottest basketball states in the country is not a destination for basketball players? I mean, I know we've talked about like even New York City and LA, like with the way the money is and all that, like city by city is not necessary. There's like exceptions, right? Like South Beach and some of the state income tax stuff. But like, is Charlotte that bad, or is it really just like nobody wants to be associated with a franchise that's perpetually in the shitter and it doesn't seem to have a plan? As Ryan said, like, when are they going to do something?
Yeah. I don't think that Charlotte is like an NBA player destination. I mean, Gary, you and I were just there not too long ago. I thought it was a pretty cool city. Yeah, like it's nice. I would live in Charlotte, but it's not Atlanta, it's not Miami, it's not Houston, it's not Chicago, right? I'm regretting even throwing Houston on that list as I saw Ryan's reaction there, but it's not one
I was shocked you did.
I know. Well, I'm just thinking of how much James Harden loves Houston.
Well, one specific place.
One aspect of Houston.
Yeah. We all know he's going to end his career in Atlanta, right? Like that's how that's going to happen.
Of course. Him and Lou Williams.
It should be Portland.
Yeah,
most strip clubs per capita in the United States is in Portland.
Yeah, but it's about quality over quantity with James Harden.
And the wings.
True.
Well, that's fair. True. That's fair.
Lemon pepper, baby. Get him flown into the bubble, dog. Get him flown into the bubble.
Yeah, buddy.
No, there is a team just south of Charlotte, right, in Atlanta, that we talked about this for years. When are they going to do it, right? I think up until this trade deadline, from the inception of this show, that's kind of been our messaging about the Hawks is like, what are they going to – they're going to have to either tank out or like bottom out, or they're going to have to really throw a bunch of assets at somebody not named DeJounte Murray to try and bring someone in to play with Trae Young. And now they've kind of gone the opposite route, right? They shipped out a bunch of talent. They got rid of DeJounte Murray. Jalen Johnson is on the shelf for the year. You know, DeAndre Hunter is gone. They kind of bought into that tanking mindset, if you will. And now, like you, Gary, and Ryan have asked, when is Charlotte going to do something drastic, right? Because the blueprint is there, right? If you compare Melo to Trae Young, obviously very different players, but like same sort of timeline deal, very young superstar. They got to figure something out with this roster. And maybe shipping off Mark Williams is part of that. I don't know. But Charlotte, nice city. Maybe not an NBA destination. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, staying on the same page with the Lakers here, there's been just fallout all over the place from this Luka Doncic trade, right? We had fans getting kicked out of the stadium for saying fire Nico Harrison during karaoke night. We had fans bringing caskets to the front of the stadium, American Airlines Arena, putting with a Luka Doncic jersey on it. And then Mr. Dumont, whatever his name is, made
it up. Why not?
Yeah, Dumont. Did an interview and he gave a quote, and I'm just going to read this quote to you. He said, "If you look at the greats in the league, the people you and I grew up with, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus on winning." Now, okay, you can talk to me about Mike. Yeah, I don't even know if he got 3. Like Larry Bird?
Larry was smoking heaters at halftime. So
Larry Bird, Melo, Luka. Now, that's like there fair. Is a long history of NBA superstars who are at the top of their profession who like to live a little bit. James Harden.
That's fair.
You know? So again, you can talk to me about Kobe. That's fine. You can talk to me about MJ. But you're telling me that Shaquille O'Neal is on the same list as these guys. The guy who very famously had a toe injury. Go ahead, Gary. I know you got something to say.
The guy who himself said, if I took the game seriously, I would have been so much better.
Yep.
Like, Kobe and him have agreed forever that if he had Kobe's work ethic, he'd be the best player ever without question.
Yeah.
You lumped him in?
Very shocking, right? Like the toe injury it was at some point in the 90s that Shaq had at the very end of the season and then refused to get surgery in the off season. And as soon as the team comes back from training camp, he decides to get surgery and missed the beginning of the season in recovery. He said, I don't recover on I don't recover on personal time. I recover on company time. Like, that's the person you're saying is working really hard every day to have a singular focus on winning.
I agree with them. I just want to state the thing he said before was insane. It's really easy to be like, I'm the greatest player of all time if I just tried a little. We can all I could have been varsity if I just tried a little, easy to say, but I love I don't rehab unless I'm being paid to do so. That I actually respect.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's honesty.
Yeah. And he's not technically wrong, right?
Yeah.
They get paid by game. That's why the salary the income taxes are different for guys that play in 41 games in Dallas, Texas, as opposed to 40. Well, I guess they would play almost 60 games in California if you play on the Lakers, right? So you get paid by game, so you're not getting paid in the off season technically. So it's not company time, so it makes sense. But just for him to throw Shaq in that list of players who are dedicated to the craft and work hard every single day is an insane thing. It almost leads you to believe that Dumont didn't pay attention to basketball until 5 years ago.
They don't know. That guy has no idea what he's talking about. He's probably never watched a game. That guy's fucking trying to steal the last bit of money he can from poor degenerate gamblers that can't get out from under their addiction. He don't have time to watch basketball. He has to figure out what percentage of money he wants to get back in his slot machines. He doesn't have time for that. That family is corrupt and full of assholes, every single one of them. And I will state that. I don't care if you married into it like he did, because if you married, that means you chose. That's even worse. If you're born into it, it's hey, you were raised to be a dick. He chose to marry into it. All fucking terrible people. And I'm not even talking about basketball. They're just bad people. Look at the stuff they've done. They're bad people.
Yep. Absolutely.
Sorry.
To be fair,
right.
Ryan does lump all people whose net worth starts with a B into that group. So it makes sense. He just went on that. But
they're bad. They're bad for billionaires.
Oh, okay. All right. There we go.
Real bad.
They're bad for billionaires. Just not good people.
That's all right. Okay, there we go. Real quickly, want to get y'all's feedback. We did see Luka and LeBron play on the court at the same time together. I thought they looked pretty good together. The ball movement and the chemistry looked pretty fluid. This is not the first time we've seen them on the court together, but it was in an all-star setting. So this is the first time we saw them as teammates on the same NBA franchise. Ryan, did you have did anything stick out to you, or was it kind of business as usual? What did you think watching them on the court together? Do you see this flourishing in the future, or are they going to have some learning pains?
I didn't watch the whole game. I'll be honest. I only watched part of it because it was late, and it ends at past midnight a lot of the time. I thought in a very short period they look good, but you're talking super high IQ guys. As long as they can learn to share the ball, which LeBron has shown in his career that he can. Luka is probably more the question mark there from his heliocentric style of play that people will bring up. So I think that's more the question mark. And because he played so little, I think it's up for evaluation. And then of course I got blown out by the Jazz, which I don't know if that's a good sign, but I don't really have a huge opinion on it. I went back and watched some highlights of it, the second half, which I didn't get to watch it. I didn't really see anything that looked egregious to me, but I didn't see anything that I was like, wow, this is the future of the NBA. You can't have the future. He's 40. It's not the future. It's the right now.
Yeah.
The question's going to be, what does Luka look like when that's gone? That's really the question I have. What does the future of the Lakers look like? Because this year, I still don't think they're a competitor this year. I do not feel that team's good enough. You can have a top 5 guy in the world, but you need more than that around him. Like Hachimura and Austin Reeves are fine, offensive guys. Their defense is god awful.
Yeah, it's very bad.
So they got worse, like significantly worse at defense, and they were already not great. So they might not stop anybody, which we just saw with the Utah Jazz. I think Keontae George made him look bad, and that guy can't throw the ball into the ocean. He's just super inefficient. So I don't think that's being fixed. They need to figure out what they're going to do in the future about that.
Yeah, it doesn't look good on the defensive end. Gary, what did you think of that performance?
No, I agree with Ryan. I think, like, for the most part, Luka and LeBron look fine together on the floor. As Ryan said, high IQ guys. You said basketball savants last week when we talked about the trades. That's not my concern with the Lakers. I think the last two games, they've played the Jazz and not looked good. They did beat them. They split with them. But they can't fucking stop a nosebleed at all. And, losing Anthony Davis doesn't help that for sure. And I just don't know. 2025, 26, if you can assume LeBron is still going to be close to what he is this year, maybe free agency, they can get people to come out there because people are going to want to play. They always want to play with LeBron. People want to play with Luka. I haven't really done my homework on exactly what the free agent class is expected to look like this offseason. But like maybe next year you can build to it, and that's kind of the last hurrah for LeBron, maybe. But yeah, I agree. Like right now, this feels like this is a Lakers team that has their future piece to build around, but it's not a 2024-25 championship contender, especially. But I like maybe you win a series in the playoffs, depending on where you match up and where you fall. But that's kind of the ceiling, I think, for this team. I don't see them really making a lot of noise, and maybe next year, but this feels like it's like a passing of the torch is going to happen over the next season or two. Yeah, they have a lot of holes and a lot of deficiencies on that roster.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both of y'all. The defense is a real problem. This team is going to have to score 130 points a night if they want to be competitive in these games. Fortunately for them, they have, one of the greatest to ever do it, subjectively, the greatest, depending on who you ask. And then you have one of the 3 best basketball players in the world currently. So I don't think points are going to be a problem, even though this team is not a great three-point shooting team. Like they're decent, but they're not phenomenal. For years and years and years, the method to win in the NBA was LeBron and shooters, right? That's what really his last 2 years of Miami, they figured it out. And then when he went back to Cleveland, they really nailed it down. It's like LeBron and shooters. I really think that is what they are going to aim for in LA, except it'll be Luka and LeBron and shooters. And then they just kind of piecemeal together whatever defense they could find. Jared Vanderbilt is still there. I don't know if they're going to try to retain him long term because he's like a defensive stalwart for their team. If you could even call him a stalwart, because he doesn't look phenomenal. I mean, he's good, right? But the context of team defense there is just not great for the entirety of the roster. They'll be an interesting team going forward. Unfortunately, Gary, I do not think that the free agency class is very good this upcoming offseason.
Well, then scratch that.
Yeah. There is a name, however, that will be available this summer in Lauri Markkanen that could draw some attention from suitors. Yeah. I don't necessarily think the Lakers are going to be in that, but he did sign that big extension. Remember, we talked about it in the offseason, so he couldn't be traded this season. So next NBA calendar year, he's available to be moved. And I have to imagine that's something the Utah Jazz are going to want to do. Also, PSA to all the teams not named the Washington Wizards, stay the fuck away from Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, right.
He's coming to Washington. Stay away from Cooper Flagg, please. Please.
He makes a lot of sense next to LaMelo, so that'd be cool.
You watch your mouth.
He makes sense.
I think if y'all get Cooper Flag, y'all have quite a defensive foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, defense wins championships.
Right, yep. Just like the 04 Pistons. No, Bilal's defensive. Alex Sarr can play. He looks like a potential defensive playmaker. Cooper, obviously. Like, that's a good – that front line, and with Bilal in there, looks good. You just need the scoring around it.
Yeah. Bob Carrington.
Well, your answer. I feel he's more of a six-man, but hopefully, I mean, you hope he goes past that point.
Yeah, well, Cooper Flag is a 1.5. Like
he's man. The man.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the other side of this Luka Doncic trade. Gary, you mentioned him. The true defensive stalwart that was on the Lakers is now obviously Anthony Davis he is now on the roster for the Dallas Mavericks. His grand total of minutes played for the season is 31 in Dallas. Now, in those 31 minutes, he did have 26 points, 7 assists, and 16 rebounds. So it was a phenomenal. I mean, it was the best game of the year. Yeah, like the best first half of arguably his career. Definitely this season. Yeah. Probably the last couple seasons that we've seen out of him. And then he goes down with a non-contact. It's a groin injury. He's had groin injuries going all the way back to his rookie year in New Orleans. This is just a lingering thing, and out comes the nickname Street Clothes. I know it's one of your favorites, Gary, so I'm going to ask you first. Just what is kind of like the mentality of the Dallas locker room here? How do you go to work and see? Well, I guess they took down all the pictures of Luka, but you remember 77 being there, and now you have Anthony Davis, and he's sitting on street clothes on the sideline once again.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and I feel for the players in that locker room. But I mean, they can wipe their tears with the basketball money that they're playing, right? In a way, but it is shitty. You go from a locker room that had Kyrie and Luka, Western Conference champions last year, and you're looking to maybe build on it this year, and you've got an owner that comes in and Ryan kind of put it perfectly last week when we were talking about the trade, like just trying to maximize money, didn't want to pay the Supermax, didn't want to pay Luka to be a Mav for life. Total opposite of what Mark Cuban was willing to do. And now everything that Mark Cuban put into this franchise, it feels like we're kind of on a teetering point of like, they're just going to tear that all down. And maybe it is that they're trying to chase that franchise in Vegas, that elusive move to Vegas when the NBA decides they're going to open a franchise there. But it's ugly in that locker room. It's ugly for the fans. I feel so bad for Mavs fans too. All of the Luka jerseys. He's one of the high selling jerseys in the league, and it costs a lot of fucking money to go to NBA games too. And they pack that arena. One of the more passionate fan bases since Mark Cuban took over. It's brutal. And then the piece that you trade for that Nico decided to come out and try to defend it, like Anthony Davis is a difference maker and he plays defense and Luka's fat or whatever the fuck spin you wanted to put on it. And he's sitting in the fucking first row behind the bench in street clothes, as is pretty fucking usual for Anthony Davis. Oh man, it's just, but I'll be honest, it couldn't fucking happen to a better franchise after the shit that they pulled. Right? Like karma is a bitch, and it feels like that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's like we had the healthiest season of AD's career last year since his time in New Orleans, right? So the last 6 seasons, last year was his healthiest. And we sat here all season long like, man, is the other shoe going to drop? Like, what's the deal here? And then the first game he plays in Dallas after the trade, like, boom, there it is, the groin. Ryan, I'll ask you the same thing. Like, just walk me through the mentality if you're a Dallas Mavericks player of thinking our future was traded away. We brought in this guy, and boom, he's instantly injured.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
What is the mentality? You're probably pissed off would be how I would start it. You're probably a little frustrated. You feel like you just went to the finals with this team. Maybe you didn't play well in the finals, but you made it through a really tough Western Conference to get to the finals. Your best player is now gone. I can't think of a precedent for that. So it's hard to know, like, historically how a team would feel in said situation, right? Tracy McGrady was traded after he led the league in scoring, right? Moses Malone was traded after his second MVP season at Houston, went to Philadelphia. Those are probably the closest things I can think of off the top of my head, both having to do with Houston, of course. So, of course, I remember them. But generally those situations, Orlando was bad, right? T-Mac was on Orlando. They weren't great. They were a middling team, made sense to rebuild. Moses wanted out of Houston. This just, like, what's the narrative you tell yourself as a teammate, right? Like, as a guy on the team, it's like, unless they have to, I would hope the GM comes in the locker room and is like, hey, here's what we think. Here's why we did this. And they're being more honest about it than they are with the media. Because that's the only way you solve this. Because all I know is if I'm on that team, I'm talking shit every single day. It just talking about that it's a Mickey Mouse team, right? Like, this is just a clown franchise. They got rid of their best player. It's not like your best player was the 20th best player in the league. He's a top 5 guy, right? There's only 5 of those. You typically don't get rid of them unless they're really old or something. But I cannot process how upset I would be as a player on that team. That's like, I joined this team thinking we had a chance. I was so excited to be traded here. If you're Daniel Gafford, right? Like, oh man, I went from Washington to here, and now it's like, okay,
back in Washington.
I mean, you're better than Washington, but like, you can't win in the West with that team. No. They would have to get incredibly lucky to have any chance of a run like that. Incredibly lucky, right? Like, they'd have to have almost like a Milwaukee where everybody they face has an injury and they just kind of get lucky going in, right? Like, it's possible, but you reduce your chance of winning a championship, not just this year, but every year for the next 8 years, probably, exponentially. And if I'm a guy who wants to win a championship, I'm annoyed. Derek Lively, think about how much money he feels like he may have lost because his stats probably take a hit, right? His offensive stats. Yeah. It's like Kyrie can get him the ball, but Luka got him the ball a ton, right? Mm-hmm. As a vertical spacing bigs. He probably lost a lot of money on his second contract. It's like, hey man, you're only a 8-point per game guy now. You were a 14. Like, what happened? Like, it's just, and this franchise has shown they'll fuck those guys over. So from every perspective, I would be frustrated. I hope that the GM went in and he says, in a fever dream, I thought this was a good idea, so we're going to try it out, right? Whatever ayahuasca trip he was on, I don't know what he was feeling, but at least explain it to the team. But I don't think there's any explanation that the team feels better. I just think you have to say something. So yeah, they're extremely frustrated. They probably feel like they lost wins and they lost money. Money is off the table now. Some would argue, well, they got rid of a max contract. It's like, Anthony Davis ain't cheap.
Right.
They act like Anthony Davis is making $20 million. I know he's making what, 15 less or something than the max that Luka would get right now. Yeah. But still, like, we're not talking like they saved $60 million a year and it's going to go to Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford because, money talks. If you're bad, at least you're getting paid.
Yep.
They clearly don't want to pay. Yeah. And they don't have that much money anyways because Anthony Davis is making all that. So I don't know. It's just annoying. I'm mad. And I hate the Mavericks.
Something I thought about too while Ryan was expressing his hatred for the Mavericks. Additionally, it's like, it's not just the guys in the locker room either, right? Like, if you say this offseason, the ownership's like, yeah, we want to go compete now. Like, go get some play. Like, nobody's gonna want to fucking go there. You set a bad precedent here. You've toxified the entire pool of not just your own players who are, I would assume, much less likely to resign unless, as Ryan said, money talks, but it doesn't sound like they want to pay anybody. So why would they resign? But also, like, if you're a free agent worth anything in the league, why the fuck are you going to Dallas?
Nope. It's the exact opposite of the Lakers, right? We say it all the time when we talk about the Lakers. They take care of their superstars. They gave Kobe that $62 million deal his final year.
They pay him too long, but intentionally, right? They're purposeful about it.
Yep. They gave LeBron like 2+1 max extension last offseason, I believe it was. And now, again, completely opposite end of the spectrum. These owners come in, and no one will ever be able to convince me that money was not a factor in this deal. They view the Mavericks organization as an asset, and they saw the TV deal come in, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm going to make money because it's guaranteed." Right? The TV deals are guaranteed. They said, "I'm going to make money. I'm going to accelerate the value of this asset going forward, but I'm going to do it at the most minimal cost to me possible." And they knew that they had the bird rights to Luka Doncic, so they're going to have to pay him the supermax extension on top of the rookie extension he's currently on. And they're like, "No, we don't want to do that. Get him out of here." Nobody will ever convince me of anything otherwise than that. It's, unbelievable that they did that.
Yep.
I'm not as mad as Ryan. I do hate the Lakers a lot, but I'm not as mad about it as Ryan, only for the simple fact that, like, I'm going to be able to watch a lot of Luka games on TV, like more than I was. I have Game Pass. I can watch all the games, but like on regular television now, he's just going to be on. They're going to have 30 primetime games next year. Like every fucking Friday night game or Saturday night game is going to be the Lakers for a decade at this point.
No matter which coast they're on.
Exactly.
Yep. For sure.
Forget about ever getting tickets to see them in the Garden now. Well, like Luka and LeBron on that team, good luck getting into MSG. Not going to happen.
I hate the Lakers too, but it's mostly because they have the same fan base as the Cowboys and the Yankees. So easy to hate them.
Well, as a Duke basketball fan, I have to mingle a little bit with those guys. So
probably. Yep. You probably know a few of them.
Yeah, it's not great. I also get some Celtics crossover in there, which I don't love. Look, here's the thing. Duke basketball gets a lot of bandwagoners to come over from Yankee Nation and Cowboy Nation. I'm a true blue OG Duke basketball fan, all right? I had a JJ Redick jersey on the wall behind me. Find me another person that has that hanging in their office. You can't do it.
It's a fair point, but you're guilty by proxy.
I think I know a chiropractor in Texas that has one, so I wouldn't say it's that incredible, but
it's not possible because I bought all of them. I own every JJ Redick jersey.
That might be true.
Any silver linings here for the Dallas Mavericks because Max Christie came in and had 23?
Yeah, Max Christie. I like Max Christie.
Okay.
I like Anthony Davis, but that doesn't change. It doesn't change what happened. Like, I like both those guys. Not a criticism of them as players; they're valuable players.
Yeah, it's just
the
shadow of trading Luka Doncic over fucking Powers. And I agree with Ryan. Like, I think Max Christie's a fine player. I think he's a good number 4 option on a team, but he's like the number 1 option right now. I mean, 2, I guess, behind Kyrie, but even Kyrie's not the guy he was in like Cleveland and tried to be in Boston. So it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah. I do think, I said this last week after the trade, I do think if Anthony Davis stays healthy, and I know that's a big if because he's already hurt.
Yeah.
But like a team built around Kyrie, who's a champion, and AD, who's a champion, with Clay, who's also a champion, and then you have the back line of Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. Like, that's a team that could, like, they could push a team in the Western Conference. They could win a first-round series. Like, Jason Kidd is a very good basketball coach. We've seen him do it in the past. They're going to play really hard defense. Like, we know that's going to be the case. They're going to have rim protection all over the place. Like, I don't imagine this team is going to bottom out. Now, once AD's contract is up, I would assume that's going to be the case. Because Kyrie will be gone at that point. Clay will be on the last year of his deal at that point. Then I think we probably see them bottom out. But, like, for the foreseeable future, given Anthony Davis's health, I don't see why this team can't compete at least in the first round. Like, I mean, it's obviously your hope is all gone because you traded Luka Doncic. I still laugh every time I say it because I can't believe it happened. But for the immediate future, you're like, okay, we can tread water, we can compete a little bit.
Imagine the Chiefs trading Mahomes.
Like crazy.
Ugh.
Yeah. So the most apt comparison I saw was the Buffalo Bills trading Josh Allen to the Rams for Matthew Stafford. Yeah. That was like the 1-for-1 that I kind of saw. And then you throw in like, I think Cooper Kupp at this age would be Max Christie. You know, like it just,
that makes sense.
That was the most accurate I saw.
Yeah.
All right, another trade that happened was followed up by some money being doled out. We had Brandon Ingram being traded to the Toronto Raptors and subsequently signing a 3-year, $120 million deal. It's really a 2-year with a 1-year player option on the third. Ryan, you're our money guy here, and you also, I don't know, you just like weird shit about teams and basketball. That I certainly don't, and I don't want to speak for Gary here, but you understand better than I do. He got me some of they could probably use some, right? Right, can you explain to me why Brandon Ingram got a contract extension from – I mean, I think I know why, but I would like to hear your reasoning as to why this happened.
Yeah, like I said last show, this is the Masai Ujiri experiment of playing 3 guys who are the same size, who move the ball. It's none of them are incredible, but they're all serviceable. It's the classic Ujiri move, right? It's experiment. It's zig when people are zagging. He's like, all of these guys can kind of play. Maybe together they can really do something, and you add Emmanuel quickly into that. Like you feel like you got a foundational team. So you have to re-sign Ingram because he's leaving. You just traded assets for him. You get him at a okay price while the cap's going up. It's not great, but like it's not terrible. And if it doesn't work out, it's 3 years, right? 3 years, about 40 a year is what it is. If that doesn't work out, then you have Scotty Barnes left over, right? Like he's still around. He's like 25 around that time, and you say, hey, let's reevaluate and just do what we got to do around him, right? RJ Barrett's gone. Like quickly work, you pick up those guys who works out together, and that makes sense, and you just play it. They have the money to spend. The free agents class is not great next couple of years. They're setting up for when they pay Scotty Barnes a good amount of money. I don't hate it. Like I said, it's an interesting experiment, and you have to pay the money if you're going to do it, right? You can't trade and then lose them 3 months later. What's the point of doing that when you're not a team that's going to make the playoffs? If you believed in Brandon Ingram enough to trade him, you have to do this. So it's logical that this is what you do, right? I just think it's interesting at most. Could it work out, and could they become a playoff team? Yeah, sure. In the East. Like, why not, right? Why couldn't they be a 6 seed, like with that team, right? If RJ Barrett becomes a little better, quickly stays healthy, Scotty Barnes takes another step, and Ingram adds as an offensive hub, scoring the ball, that team could be decent in the Eastern Conference. So, and the Raptors are not one for tanking, so that's not really they're not really into that. So I didn't expect that to happen for very long.
Well, Gary, I'm not going to ask you the same question because Ryan, I think, put it there very nicely. You believe in him enough to trade assets. He's on an expiring. You have to give him the extension. I think we all kind of agree with that. We understand how the financials there work.
Yep.
That being said, do you have any faith at all in a Brandon Ingram, Scotty Miller combo to be a competitive team in the NBA? Or like, I'll even go more granular than that, a competitive team in the Eastern Conference of the NBA.
I think Ryan kind of nailed the ceiling. Like it's the 6 seed if they're able to at least find a way to score enough points. I just don't know how it works, right? Like that's my big thing is there's a lot of duplicity on that Raptors team. Understand the move. Ryan nailed it, right? You made the trade, you signed him, but like I just didn't understand the trade to begin with. Sure, it's kind of up Ujiri's lane to just like maybe he's just waiting for the Spurs to alienate another superstar. I don't really know exactly how this is going to fit. And I think that's my biggest thing is the ceiling's probably the 6th seed. I don't think they win a playoff series with this team. And maybe you get 2 playoff games in the city of Toronto.
They're currently 12 wins behind.
Yeah, they got to get hot, but it is the East. It's terrible. But I didn't understand the trade to begin with. I understand the signing, but I also I just don't know how it works. I look at that roster composition and I'm just like, this feels like a fucking 8-year-old that just wanted to trade for his favorite players on NBA Live or something. It's not. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a this year move. Let's just say that'll playoffs are a future thing for sure.
Yeah, agreed. I kind of put you on the spot there. I feel bad, but they're a wait and see team for me.
Yeah.
Well, we're going into All-Star break. It's a little bit different this year, but before I get into the actual breakdown of how it's going to happen, fun stat of the day for y'all. Actually, I'll turn it into a trivia question. Going into this year's All-Star break, the Detroit Pistons are above 500. They're 29 and 26. Currently the 6th seed in the East. We're not going to talk about who the 7th seed in the East is because it hurts my soul a little bit. Gentlemen, do you know the last year that the Detroit Pistons were above 500 going into the All-Star break? Either one of you.
2006.
Incorrect. Close, but incorrect.
I thought maybe Blake Griffin would do it.
Was it the last championship year?
No, you're getting further.
Is it a Blake Griffin year?
It is not a Blake Griffin year.
So before Blake Griffin.
You were close.
Okay, 2008.
Almost. 2009.
Oh, that's a good year.
2009, the last time the Detroit Pistons were above 500 going into the All-Star break.
That's a long run of just misery.
Yeah. Lord knows how many coaches were in between then and now, because I can't name them off the top of my head. I give you about 3. All right. Well, All-Star weekend is this weekend. President's Day weekend, long weekend for some folks. We obviously, I think next week we have our mid-season top 10 ranking plan for the show because the standings are not going to change too much between now and then. So we'll talk kind of midway through, maybe get some awards and our top individual top 10 rankings. That being said, where is All-Star this weekend? San Francisco. It's in the Bay, the house that Steph built, if you will. Chase Arena, Chase Center, something like that. So we have a little bit of a different format. Obviously, the skills challenge, we all know how that works. Sabrina and Steph are on this graphic. I believe their event has been scrapped by the NBA. I think I read that today, but that was a really fun thing they did last year, and I expect them to probably do again at some point. The WNBA crossover. So you have Friday, your 3-point shootout, your dunk contest, and your skills challenge. And then Saturday, that stuff happens. Sunday is the actual All-Star game. Like I said, it's a little different this year. You get, like we have on the screen here, you get Candace's Rising Stars, which are your sophomores and your rookies in the league. And then you have Shaq's OGs, Kenny's Young Stars, and Chuck's Global Stars. So as you know, we went over the All-Star voting and kind of went over the rosters from the East and the West. But this year they're broken down into 3 teams of 8 players, and it's going to be a tournament format. So you get your 2 semifinal games. The games are played until a team hits or surpasses 40 points. And then the winning team will move on, and they will play the winner of the opposite team or the opposite game, and that will be the NBA All-Star Champion, I guess is what we're calling it. I don't know exactly what they're going to call it, but we're going to find out this weekend. Yeah, that's kind of the breakdown of how it's going to occur. Do we have the rosters? I have the rosters right here. I don't know if you guys have the rosters in front of you. Let's see. Kyrie Irving is replacing Anthony Davis. and Trae Young is replacing Giannis, who I should have mentioned like in the first segment on the show. Giannis is now injured, so it's going to be Dame and Kyle Kuzma going forward for the foreseeable future for the Bucks. I'll just ask for your thoughts on the format. I know we talked, I think it was in the off season, about like ways to, or we definitely talked about it last year, but like ways to improve this weekend's kind of format and how we feel about this. And are we excited at all about it? How do we think this is going to go down? So Gary, I'll ask you first. Just give me your overall thoughts on the newest format of NBA All-Star Weekend.
I'd like it. I'll be interested to see kind of how the games play out, how the semifinals are played, knowing that like you've got another game you're going to have to play. They're not asking them to do a lot. And you mentioned the scoring and how it's going to break out. I feel like it's going to create some tension. We've talked a lot about liking the Elam ending as opposed to how the fourth quarters used to be in these All-Star games. I think this is just yet another swing that the NBA is taking at this thing. We've talked for years, not us necessarily, but like in the general public for 5, 10, 15 years about how other leagues are falling behind. The Pro Bowl stinks. The MLB All-Star Game stunk for a long time. They've done a little bit to kind of change that. The NHL's done a lot of change with their All-Star Game. They've revamped their format again this year. And the NBA is doing it again. I like this format for the All-Star Game. The All-Star Weekend is still kind of what it is. The dunk contest is going to be good, not great. The three-point contest is going to be fine. Skills challenge is cool. I was disappointed that the NBA WNBA crossover was canceled. I feel like if they were able to get, I know Caitlin was kind of, standoffish about like doing a lot of things this offseason because of the strenuous schedule she had last year and some of the other things that she's got going on. But if they'd have been able to kind of put that together, it would have been a very interesting piece. Because I really thought that was neat last year to watch Steph and Sabrina go at it. But I like it. I'm going to withhold judgment in terms of success or failure. I'm not going to predict that it's going to be a success or a failure until after we watch it. And I'll be really curious to see how it all works out and how all of them treat it. I love the idea of Candace taking the winner from the Rising Stars game as well. I think that's a really neat twist. So overall, I give the NBA like an A- for effort because I think they're trying really hard to not lose what All-Star Weekend is. And I think they've learned from like what the NFL's gone through with the Pro Bowl. It's become like a flag football game and nobody tunes in. I used to watch the Pro Bowl just because it was the only thing on TV. And now, like, I don't even tune in to any of it anymore. So I applaud the NBA for being self-aware that they can't just rest on their laurels and be stagnant. We've talked about the ratings dip, and this is another way for them to really take a proactive step at something that they try to make a whole weekend of it. And they've got to continue to evolve. All of these competitions have changed format over and over and over again. And the NBA does it yet again with the All-Star game. So I'm good with it. I think it's a good effort. I like the idea of kind of the semifinal and the final, the tournament format. And I just hope that we get the brand of basketball in these games that I think the NBA is aiming for.
Yeah, very well said. Brian, what do you envision this weekend going like? Are you excited? How do you think it will be received? Do you think this was like a good compromise for the league to incorporate gimmicky basketball with actual competitive basketball?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I like trying to be innovative, trying new things, right? I think ultimately, if you can't get the players to dedicate to the playing of the actual game, you're not going to have a lot of excitement out of it. So it's good that they're trying to figure out ways to do that, right? To some extent, they're adding in some wild cards with certain players being included to make it interesting. But people will hate it, as they often do. It will not be well liked because there's one thing people hate, and it's changing things, even if they hate the thing they're changing. They said the same about the in-season tournament. I think the in-season tournament is good. People still hate it. I enjoy the in-season tournament. So, it's one of those things where I think you got to give it a couple years if you're going to do it, and then kind of feel out, is it actually of quality? And then listen to the right people. There's always going to be people on social media hating on stuff like this. It's not real basketball. They don't. The 3-point contest is boring. It's literally a 3-point contest. We've all done it. It's supposed to be riveting. It's supposed to be like a little flash of the skill these guys have, right? Like, it's not, we don't need the Globetrotters out there like doing trick shots and stuff. Like, that could be its own thing, maybe, if you want to do stuff like that. But, every dunk has ever been done. There are human limitations to physics. We've been doing a dunk contest for almost 50 years. There's been a lot of dunking.
Yeah.
People have invented dunks in the game. Like, it's very difficult. Like, at some point, jumping over people and doing a scorpion dunk is cool, like 2 or 3 times, but then we've seen is like, do something else. There are human limitations. At some point, we have to accept that was impressive regardless of the history of that. And I just don't think the dunk contest is salvageable because of that attitude. Like, I fundamentally agree it'd be nice to see new stuff, but there's impossibilities, right? Like, I don't need to see Blake Griffin bring a car in and jump over it as a capitalist statement about Kias. Like, I don't need to see that. Like, that doesn't do anything for me. I'm much more interested in seeing the skill. Like, Mac McClung's great to watch. We like little guys who can do stuff like that. Like, that's where the interesting stuff is. Bring a big guy in, like Dwight, who can throw the ball down. Like, you either need to incentivize that heavily, or we're just going to accept that it's not going to be as good as it was the first time we saw it. Just like Star Wars is not as good as when you saw it when you were a kid.
I mean, it still holds up. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, but if you saw it in 1977 and then you watched it in 2024, you'd be like, you know what? We've made good movies since then that, like, in the sci-fi genre that hurt it. Because there's been repetitive things, right? Not necessarily exactly the same, but we've seen derivatives of Star Wars, just as we've seen derivatives of Julius Erving dunking from the free throw line in 1975. We've seen it, right? Like, it's not a criticism. It's still impressive that people can do it, but we've seen it. Like, we just have to accept and think about that stuff in a vacuum instead of being like, yeah, but like, they didn't jump from the half court line, so like, why would I care? It's like, yeah, that's not possible.
Yeah. The Monstars did it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, until we get cyborgs doing the dunk contest, like, let's just accept there's human physics that we have to live with. People cannot, twist their arms out of sockets to do dunks. Like, we just have to live with these things.
The NBA dunk contest peaked in 2016 with Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fact that I've come to accept, and I'm okay with it because I still enjoy seeing these guys dunk. Are they the newest dunks? No, but like Ryan said, it's still very, very impressive, even if we've seen it done before. Like, the level of skill and difficulty involved is not declining. I can assure you of that. It's just that these are things that we've seen done before, and now we're seeing new people do them. Now, if you go over a mascot and under both of your legs, reverse jam, shout out Aaron Gordon, that's something that would truly, truly get the people off their feet. That being said, I'm a huge fan of the Elam ending in games. I really, really love that. What I think a lot of people don't understand about that is that every single game ends on a game-winning shot. There is no run out the clock. There is no march to the free throw line. Like, every single time. Now, you can win it on a free throw, but chances are the team who is trailing is not going to be sending you to the free throw line because they don't have a clock to play up against, right? So every single game ends on a game-winning shot, and I think that's phenomenal. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. I think my biggest question about how these games are going to go is how does the substitution work? Because, again, they're only playing to 40. and all of these guys are used to playing 34 to 38 minutes a night, right? If not more. 40 points happens pretty quickly in NBA games. I'm not sure if the people understand that. Yeah, like you're playing a quarter, right? So I don't know. That's gonna be interesting to me. How many of these guys just don't see the court maybe at all? I don't know. That'll be fun for me to decide. And luckily for them, Creighton and St. John's play at like 2 p.m, and these games don't come on until Sunday night. So I'll be locked in here.
They need to integrate the hockey line change. That'd be an interesting substitution. You could really do like offense defense for that way too.
Yeah, 100%. Calipari tried it at Kentucky one year and it didn't work out for him, but
no.
Yeah, I mean that's All-Star weekend. We've made it to what is kind of like the pseudo halfway point of the season. Next week we can do some. I said we're going to do top 10. We can do some award things. We got like first half of the season thoughts, like general ideas. We'll have a little more time to, and a couple more games actually to digest these trades. I don't know if anybody watched Boston and San Antonio, but that game was a lot closer than the score indicated at the end of last night. De'Aaron Fox there playing with Wemby. Some exciting stuff coming up for the long, end stretch of the NBA season. Do y'all have any closing thoughts before Ryan gets to his game that he has for us?
All I can think about is the game.
Okay. All right. I know Gary's playing for the Graves, so I'm not going to ask him to do any more work than he needs to. So with that being said, Ryan, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I saw someone play this. I thought it would be a fun thought experiment about how people decide to build teams. So I'm just going to spin a wheel. I won't show it. It's all the teams are on the wheel.
So he's cheating.
No, I'm not. I won't participate. It could just be y'all two. And then you just give me a 6-man rotation. So 5 positions and then a 6th man that you want. And you tell me what position you want to. They had to play for the team, and at the time, you take whenever they play for the team, right? So if you get the Rockets and you say, I want Tracy McGrady, you get Tracy McGrady Rockets, right? You don't get Orlando or, whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can't steal them from their prime and put them on the team.
Right.
You can't have Patrick Ewing on the Raptors or the Magic or.
I mean, you can take whoever you want at any time based off the team you get.
Prime Olajuwon on the Raptors.
Yeah. I want Michael Jordan on the Wizards, but I want 1992 Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
Jordan on the Wizards.
Yeah. Right. I mean, honestly, not terrible with the Wizards. Okay, so you can, as long as I think it's fine, the position, like if you tell me you're going to play Jokic at the 1 or something, maybe I'll consider that. But like, I will approve all positions. Okay, so don't try to BS me with some crazy. I'm playing Mark Williams at the 2 or something. Wow. Okay, who wants to?
Arbiter.
He does have some wiggle to him,
yeah. In the 7 feet and over league, he's playing the 2. Okay, who wants to go first?
I think you go first.
Yeah, I'll go first.
And you don't lock the player out only for the team. So LeBron could be picked twice, hypothetically, like, those types of things if you wanted to.
Okay. So, all right. I think I have it now. Originally, I thought you were going to give me one team, and I had to name 6 guys from that team.
It's going to be 6 different teams.
Okay, I got you. I was like, what if I get Oklahoma City?
So
they have
you
like
will
11 years. Okay.
There'll be 12 total teams, 6 each.
Yep.
But potentially repeats, though.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm going to take notes, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this team in 2K like I like to do and see who wins.
Love it.
We'll run just a little 6-man. I'll put a 40 overalls everywhere else, so they won't play. Okay, who wants to go first, Bentley or Gary?
Bentley.
Okay.
Do you want to alternate?
Yeah, we're alternating. Yep.
Okay.
Ryan, are you picking a team?
I'm spinning a wheel.
You're not picking team though?
Am I participating? Do you want me to? I will if you want me to.
I trust you. You're not going to cheat.
Okay. If funnily enough, the Rockets missed by like this much on the first pick, it ended up with the Raptors. for your first pick.
The Raptors. All right, I have a couple options here. Just off the top of my head, I got Kawhi, I got Vince Carter, and I got Tracy McGrady.
All-time leading scorer of the Raptors franchise, DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, but all right, let's be honest here. Like, if I'm picking
building for the mid-range.
Yeah.
Not an old team though. Not a lot of options here.
Right, and I get him during his time in Toronto.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So peak of that version of themselves, right?
Yeah. So, all right, so I'm gonna take Kawhi, and he's gonna play my small forward.
Okay, small forward, super Kawhi Leonard.
How do you spell Kawhi? Is it Kawhi?
No,
just WHI, yeah.
Kawhi. Okay, that's how I had it spelled the first time.
It's Kahai.
Okay. All right.
All right, Gary's turn. All right, here we go. Spinning the wheel. It is. Oh, just missed the 76ers. You get the Wizards.
Oh.
It's all time, so you can take some great players here.
I know there is some old timers, but I think I'm going to take Pete John Wall at the
Yes. Best
He
point
is
guard in the
great.
league for like a 3-year span.
He was.
He is great in 2K, to be fair. If you're just trying to win the 2K game here, he's incredible. His peak version is so fast, it's crazy. All right, I'm spinning for myself.
He was healthy. I don't have to worry about losing him. He was healthy at the peak.
That's true. That's true.
2014 John Wall. Oh
yeah. Oh yeah.
I just missed the Raptors. I got the Pistons for my first pick.
Ooh. Got some history to pick from there.
Pistons. I will take. I will.
Milicic.
I'll just take Ike. I'll take Isaiah.
Okay.
I just think that's the logical one there. Top 5 point guard of all time, right?
Okay.
Yeah, right behind John Wall.
Yeah.
Ryan knows my opinion for John Wall. Ryan gets
Gary locked you out. You can take Raptors or Rockets John Wall now.
I would prefer Clippers John Wall.
Oh, Clippers John Wall. Yeah. Okay. Bentley is spinning. Here we go.
So we are locking players out. Like I can't. Okay.
You can pick a different team version of the same player.
Okay.
So like I said, you could take Rockets John Wall hypothetically if you really wanted to. You missed the Nets again by a small amount. And you got the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh.
Can you bring him back?
I think I have to, right? Like
you get him for nothing.
Yeah. Well,
you gave him away for very little, but you get him back for nothing.
Can I play him at the 1?
Yeah.
Will you give me that? All right, I'm gonna take Luka.
Sure.
I'm gonna take Luka to play the 1.
Okay. I think that's a great pick.
Yeah. I mean, if we're being realistic here, there's 2 options.
Yeah.
Dallas. Like.
All right, Gary, you got the Warriors.
Oh.
There's 2 great picks here, in my opinion. 2 great picks.
Yeah. I think
one, and it's not Steph Curry. Just with John Wall, I'm not sure Curry makes a lot of sense.
I think that's the challenge I have with John Wall and Steph Curry. I don't know if they complement each other.
You're gonna be short in the backcourt.
Yeah. Man, that shooting though. Jesus.
Well, you have one of the powerhouses in NBA history, obviously.
Yeah, give me Wilt at the 5.
All right. Yep, that's a good
I'm
one.
gonna take a chance that I don't get the Lakers or the Magic or the Rockets.
I think the other one is Rick Barry there that makes sense for
Yeah.
your team, right? Scoring, just dominant score. All right, my spin here. Looks like the Timberwolves. God, freaking Timberwolves.
You got some options.
I guess I'll take Garnett.
I would have gone Kevin Love, but whatever.
Yeah, that's why you're gonna lose. All right, Bentley spin. Oh, you got the Raptors again. You missed the Rockets, so it's so close. It's literally on the line, but it said Raptors.
All right.
Hey, DeMar DeRozan, baby, he's still available.
Nah, I'm taking Tracy McGrady and playing him at the 2.
Okay, yeah.
6'8" shooting guard. Let's get it.
T-Mac. Okay. Now Gary's spin here. He got the Wizards again.
Okay, what are we doing?
Oh man, give me.
That's tough, brother.
It is like.
No, I think there's an obvious pick.
Can I put Wes at the 4?
Who?
Wes.
I would take Elvin Hayes, but
Hayes, yeah.
I mean, if you just want a defensive guy, Wes is fine, but you have no shooting if you take Wes Unseld. John Wall, Wilt Chamberlain, and Wes Unseld. That's going to be a packed paint. Elvin at least had like a mid-range. You want Wes? I'll put Wes. I think you can play him at the 4 because of his height. You could probably play him at the 4.
Yeah, give me Wes at the 4. I'm gonna rest on the fact that I'm gonna load up on shooting at the 2 and 3.
And you got a 6-man, so you can just take a shooter as your last guy if you want.
That's fair
because he can play any position, right? You can just take a 6-man of any position. All right, this is mine. I got the Atlanta Hawks. Well, the best player for the Hawks, I can't really take unless I want to use my 6-man. God, they have so many good power forwards, and I have Kevin Garnett already. I guess I'm going to take Lou Hudson. Is who I'm going to take, and I'm going to play him. I'll play him at the 3 for now. Hall of Famer, great scorer.
Bentley's Googling Lou Hudson right now, like I am.
I don't remember how tall he was.
That's like
I know who Lou Hudson is.
6'6".
6'5".
Yeah.
Is he that tall?
Yeah, okay. He's 6'5".
In the 60s and 70s, you could play him at the 3.
I Googled Wes Unseld to remind my. I knew he was a big man, but I wanted to get like exact height. And I accidentally clicked on Wes Unseld Jr. and it was like 6'2". But I was like, that seems incorrect. Wes Unseld, by the way, 6'9". We're looking at 6'9" Wes Unseld.
I think that's a nice 6'9".
6'9" in your program.
Yeah.
I will say if you can switch players around if you get somebody who like can move, like if you want to take a 2 and you had a guy who also could play the 2, I will allow that. So all right, Bentley, you got the Brooklyn Nets, so I will allow ABA players as well. So you can go all the way back to the 70s Nets.
I don't need that. Give me Kevin Durant playing the 4.
Okay. Not who I would take, but
it's fine.
I would take Billy the Whopper Pultz.
Of course you would.
My former coworker.
Do you know what Kevin Durant is better at on the basketball court than Billy Pultz?
Not much.
Everything.
Not much.
Literally everything.
Worst nickname.
The Slim Reaper?
The Whopper's a sick nickname.
The Whopper's a great nickname.
All right, Gary has got the Mavericks. We've been getting a lot of young teams.
I'm gonna put Dirk at the 3.
Oh, all right, we'll allow this. To be fair, you have shooting now.
Yeah.
And your defense might be okay with Wes and Wilt behind it. Because Dirk is not going to stay in front of any threes. You can also play him at the 6-man later if you want to.
Sure. Didn't he come into the league as a small forward?
No, as a 4. He was 5'4", 5" was always his position. But I'll allow it.
Maybe I can move West to the 3.
As a stretch 4, he could play him 3. move Wes Unseld to the 3. I got the Atlanta Hawks again. A lot of repeats so far.
We might need to do like a double spin.
I'm gonna do a Pete Maravich.
Love that pick.
Lou Hudson and Pete Maravich, famously teammates, hated each other because Lou Hudson thought he was too flashy. He was like, just shoot the ball. Stop doing the behind the back.
Guy named Sweet Lou thought he was too flashy.
Yeah, Sweet Lou is a very traditional form, and like Pete's like, watch this.
Yeah.
All right. We're down to 2 more players for everybody. Remember, you got a 6-man available if you want to punt and you just take a best overall. Oh my God, we got Dallas again.
No, dude, fucking we gotta do it.
No, we have to live with this.
Can I get one respin? Like,
okay,
I've
sure.
got the same team twice,
right.
and then I got the team.
I'll allow one respin. I'll allow one respin. You got the Warriors.
Fuck.
Lot of great players with the Warriors. Wilt. Oh wait.
Yeah, that's my problem.
You got Andrew Bogut. You can take a 6-man here.
Yeah, I'll just take Steph as my 6th man.
Oh, I would.
Yeah, you're going Rick Barry. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what Steph Curry is better at on a basketball court than Rick Barry?
Literally one thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. Rick beats him at basically everything else.
That's fine.
All right, for Gary. Oh my, we're going even younger, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Gary has gotten this short. You can re-roll if you want it. You got to re-roll.
You can. You have a 2 and a 5 and a 6-man left, or you can move Dirk or what someone to the 6-man. But or you could take AD and just be huge,
or Zion, and also be huge.
You could play Zion at the 2. I'd allow that. Yeah, there'd be no shooting on that team. Dirk would be the only guy out.
Right.
That's an incredible team, though. Wilt, Wes, Dirk, Zion, and John Wall. That's an awesome team. You want the respin? I will allow one respin.
No, I'll stick with it. It's a new team, so I gotta stick with it. Give me. I'm gonna take a chance that I'm gonna have some luck of the draw on my last spin, and I will spell Wes and or Wilt with AD. Okay, so we'll put a 6-man for now, just because that is easier. Yep. AD Pels AD. I think the best version of him. Probably the last couple years in Pels. First year of the Lakers. Younger ligaments.
I would have gone Boogie Cousins, but
I almost went Boogie because I like low scoring.
Your defense is good. I think you need this defense with Dirk because you're playing Dirk at the 3, which is an unusual move. I think you're going to need defensive guys behind.
Yeah, but imagine he wants to go all scoring. It goes Boogie and Dirk.
Well, guys, I ended up with the Dallas Mavericks.
That's a loaded wheel.
Yeah, I was about to say this wheel's weighted clearly.
Yeah, what is it?
We've hit it, I think, 5 times. Which is crazy in only 18 total spins.
They have 2 good players in their entire team history.
Well, I have center and 6-man left. Let me think for a second.
Go Jason Kidd off the bench.
Could go Jason Kidd.
Sean Marion.
Oh,
Sean Marion.
Sean Marion would be the one to get though.
Could go my guy James Donaldson to play at the 5. You got Rolando Blackman. Adrian Dantley at the end of his career. There's some okay guys. I am going to respin them since all the Mavericks are getting respin. We will respin the Mavericks. And I get, please stop. Dear God. Okay. I got the Trailblazers.
There you go.
And I need a 5. And we'll take Big Red. Rest in peace. Bill Walton at the 5.
Blazers, Bill Walton too.
And now I have 6-man. I take whoever I want. Yeah, the only healthy version, except for his 1 year with the 86 Celtics, where he played coming off the bench. So, all right, Bentley, last spin. You need a center.
Yeah.
Let's hope. Oh, the Trailblazers.
Grego.
There's you could play Aldridge at the 5, like be real small. You could be real bad defensively, but you could play Aldridge at the 5. That's not terrible.
Hold on, I'm looking something up real fast. I'm going to Basketball Reference. And
Kevin Duckworth, you could play him at the 5. You trying to find a center?
This is not good. No, I was like, didn't Greg Oden have like a good year the first season he played?
Sabonis.
He did not.
You could get Sabonis.
Yeah.
Like 33-year-old Sabonis. No knees.
I need to look at his numbers.
He had like a 15 and like 4 season. I think a 15, 7 and 4 or something like that one year.
He had a 16 and
Yusuf
10.
Nurkic, that 60-game window where he was at his peak.
Yeah, Sabonis had a 16 and 10.
Yeah, I think it's between probably Duckworth, Sabonis, Aldridge, maybe Michael Thompson.
All right, here's
Donovan Clingan.
So I actually thought about Clingan. I was like, I'm going young player upside, national champion. Like,
you have so much offense, it might not be terrible. It's going to be bad on 2K, but
I know, right? Here's what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to take Arvydas Sabonis.
Okay.
And count on that Eastern European player synergy between him and Luka.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a good pick. I think it's makes sense with your team. It's an offensive focused team. He'd be a good passer. Oh, Gary, you have you might want to use your reroll here. You got the Wizards.
Yeah, let me respin that. I got them twice and the fucking Mavs twice.
I think you got them. I think 3 times.
This is the third time. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the third
you got
time.
Wes and John Wall.
All right, here we go.
Bradley Beal at the shooting guard.
You got the Jazz.
Oh.
And you have the 2 left open. You could play Wall at the 2, hypothetically, if you wanted to go John Stockton. You could play Karl Malone at the 2.
I'm already stretching my luck with Dirk at the 3.
Yeah, I barely let Dirk play the 3. I'm just going to be honest. That was on the edge of only because he's such a lethal shooter. I let it go. Defensively, it makes no sense.
You just play Spider Mitchell.
You could play Donovan Mitchell is a good choice, actually. I'd probably move Wall to the 2 and play Stockton just because you need the defense on this team, probably. Actually, the defense is not bad, but I don't know if Wall's going to shut anybody down in the backcourt.
That's fair.
Up to you though. Mitchell's a good pick too.
Mitchell, yeah, maybe that or what was Jeff Hornacek's best season? Not good enough.
I would allow Hornacek at the 2, but that was later in his career, right?
No, he started his career.
No, most of his career, yeah. He is a Jazz guy.
Peak
right.
points. What's his peak shooting year? Yeah. I'll take Spider. I'll take Spider at the 2.
Okay, Spider Mitchell.
Joe Ingles was also available.
Spider. I just put Spider. I know who that is. Let's put Jazz, though, so I know specifically the Jazz years. All right, here comes my 6th man.
Ooh, Deron Williams. That's the name I didn't think of.
Ooh, yeah.
I got the Indiana Pacers.
Oh,
okay.
6th man. I'm going to take. Ooh, tough choice. A lot of good options here. Pacers have had a lot of good teams. Let me look at my team. Who's my worst player that I need a backup for? Probably at the wing. So you either take Reggie Miller or Roger Brown, probably. Roger Brown is not in 2K, so I'm going to take Reggie Miller. I know that may seem obvious to you, but it was not to me.
Here I was doubting all this praise on you earlier about knowing basketball and stuff like that. You got the Pacers. Do you have to think twice?
I mean, you could take Paul George.
Yeah, you could also take Danny Granger or
Danny Granger cannot hold Roger Brown's jockstrap.
Danny Granger is a trivia answer to one of the craziest questions to ever exist. For those of you who don't know, just look up Danny Granger, female comedian.
I know where this is going.
Danny Granger, female comedian, and you will find the funniest fucking clip about a professional athlete that you've maybe ever heard. It is hilarious.
All right, you want to hear the teams before we sign off here?
Yeah.
Gary's team: Wizards, John Wall, Donovan Mitchell for the Jazz, Dallas, Dirk Nowitzki. No other options, obviously.
Right.
Wes Unseld at the 4, Wilt from the Warriors at the 5, and 6-man Anthony Davis. Bentley's team: Luka, Dallas, not the LA version. Big difference there. Team Raptors T-Mac, Raptors Kawhi, Brooklyn Kevin Durant, Arvydas Sabonis with the Blazers, and Steph with the Warriors. And then my team is Isaiah Thomas, Pete Maravich with the Hawks, Lou Hudson, Kevin Garnett, Bill Walton with the Blazers, obviously, and then Reggie Miller. Pretty good teams. Who do y'all think has the best team? Besides yourself, of course.
Oh, Gary.
Oh, you like Gary's team? Gary's got an interesting team.
I'm gonna have to hold everybody below 90, but
you're like you're very big and then in the front court and very small in the back court. Yeah. Which is kind of like the current Cleveland Cavaliers. You've built the current Cleveland Cavaliers, but instead with Wilt Chamberlain, Wes Unseld, and Dirk Nowitzki. I like my team the best, but yeah, I just the weakness on your team, Bentley, T-Mac Raptors. He was so young at that point, had not reached his potential. Probably would have gone to Rosen there if you wanted a 2. My team is Hall of Famers across the board. I mean, just incredible players that will dominate defensively and offensively. So I'm not worried about it. But great job, guys. I thought that was a fun thought experiment.
That is fun.
Apparently, the Mavericks are our favorite team.
I guess, yeah.
Just for the record, Ryan, I have 6 Hall of Famers on my roster.
No, you don't. You have 4 guys who are not in the Hall of Fame.
Currently.
Yeah, every single one of mine is currently in.
Tough.
What if Luka gets really fat? He won't get in.
Apparently, he already was.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Make it any bigger.
Yeah,
he and Arvydas are going to be out smoking beers after these games, dude.
Smoking beers, boofing beers.
Just hoovering beers down.
Oh, great job. I will run this and let y'all know what happens.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our show. I think we filled a lot of entertaining time for the people here tonight. I had a blast. I'm glad you guys came along for the ride. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. Thanks for all the interaction. We really do appreciate that. We will be back next week, same time, same channel. Everybody go forth and enjoy All-Star Weekend. Tune in if you feel so desired to watch some college basketball. Get ready to learn some names, because currently, if you look at the NBA mock draft projections, I believe the first 11 names you'll see on mock drafts are playing in college basketball this year. Plus, basketball is just phenomenal at whatever level you're going to watch it. So for Gary, Ryan, and myself, we are out of here. Peace, love. Have a good night.